Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank IATA and all of you for being here. I left Chicago and it was 5 degrees centigrade, and I arrived here in summer. And talking with a lot of you, you all had the same experience. So thank you for also providing great weather. Okay. Now, I'm delighted to see the discussions we've had the first 2 days, because it's really leading us up to what I'm going to be talking here. And I apologize, I'm a walker, so I'll be moving a little bit. So I wanted to highlight a number of things going ahead and talking about passenger emotional and behavioral biometrics. So moving away from safety and security biometrics that we've seen and looking ahead into the future, capabilities and what we can actually implement and do. First, we live in an emotional economy. People are connected through social media and other means, highly emotional and engaged to what happens around them. And why emotions are important. Think, we're human beings. Being emotionally engaged is a driver. It makes us do things, okay? And by doing things, we arrive to change. Hopefully positive and good change for everybody, okay? And I'm kicking off with this and saying, we're still dealing with people. Our passengers, our guests are human beings with feelings, emotions, okay? They may have not had a good night's sleep, or their baby may have been crying overnight and they arrive at the airport tired, or they have some kind of impairment that sort of, doesn't allow them to, guide or navigate through an airport or on board.
I remember.
Memory. We know it as a record of our lives, how to find our keys or recite facts from school. But stop and think about it. It's so much more. From your earliest memory.
Fallen off of a horse at about 5 years old.
When I walked into kindergarten and I met my best friend.
About 1925, that we moved to 513 Spring Avenue.
Your happiest.
When my daughter was born, when she came out.
See a real-life human being breathe a first breath of fresh air.
Or saddest.
But the death of my father.
We are little but the sum of our memories.
It's who we are. That's how we understand ourselves and our lives.
Consider for a moment just how vivid a memory can be.
The smells, the sounds.
I know the shoes, the socks, the pants, and the shirt I wore.
And it was like it happened yesterday.
I do have a picture in my head.
You can see it.
So how do we generate those positive memories to the point that our passengers and our guests are actually become ambassadors of our airports, our airlines, our onboard products, and so on, okay? These are our passengers. These are the people that actually use our facilities. So we need to look carefully and synergize and talk together at every single touch point of the passenger journey that you see here. And this is a short video of, our approach.
Getting customers' attention has never been so difficult. Life is fast, complicated, and impatient. The 21st century challenge for product and service design and marketing is to cut through the noise and to not just capture attention, but capture interest. We have been working with business and researching ideas. Everything has changed. The way to win with customers has changed. Technology has evolved to be more ever-present, personal, and intense. It's everywhere, all the time. Have you watched people waiting at the airport, relaxing at the beach, walking down the hall? Technology is part of minute-to-minute life. Marketing has shifted from mass media messaging to focused, almost individualized messages across a worldwide network of devices. we developed our system for enhanced customer experience. The foundation of good design or promotion is matching your goals to information. This is a two-stage effort. We carefully identify and organize your goals, then map those goals to the information that will achieve them efficiently and effectively. The world is swimming in data, but starving for knowledge.
And this really sums up what we've been talking about the first few days, formally within the sessions, but also informally during some of the social events. Technology is there. We all agree that, and new technology is coming along. But how can we actually make it all work? And, with our process, we're actually including more than one sensory input device or devices, okay? Face recognition and the visual front is very important, as well as our other senses. The next frontier, smell, taste, hearing, okay? Remember, we're still human beings, emotions. So when we actually perform tests and collect biometric data, primarily emotional and behavioral data, we do pay attention to those emotions too, and those senses too, okay? And it's a three-step process, identifying the scope and objectives of its project. I mean, as you understand, they may vary because we may be dealing with an airport or an airline and an onboard project, such as testing an onboard meal. And I'll share with you some examples of some testing we've done with Delta and American Airlines in the US. And then, use multiple of sensor input devices, all the way from EEG to, track brain activity, facial recognition, and eye tracking, all the way to galvanic skin response, and a few more. When we go into in-depth testing, we even use CT scans, and just put people laying down, and showing them videos, photos, and also smells, so that they know exactly what's going on, and then we can sort of test all that. And then provide business knowledge so that customers and all of you can actually use this. So here's the opportunity. We're not only thinking with our brains, but also with our hearts. If you leave the heart out, you cannot win anyone. Okay? And that's what we want. After all, we want loyalty from our customers, right? We want people to be passionate about us. And I'll mention an example. Not everybody may be able to afford a Maserati or a Lamborghini, but this doesn't stop us from becoming brand ambassadors and loving that brand. Okay? That's where the heart piece comes in. And we have a lot of beautiful technology out there, okay? But at the same time, this applies to design, so we often work with product and industrial designers, architects, artists that look at aesthetics, human factors professionals, social scientists, and so on. That comes down, again, to how we understand all this, it's the cognitive science and the emotional importance of what we do. Now, there's still some challenges, though, okay, that a lot of people are talking about. Technology is great, but still has limitations. And I'll mention one example. There's been a lot of anecdotal information going around. I've even had CEOs of airlines tell me, oh, we can actually use the camera, that we have on board, or the camera next to, the screen, and capture someone, a passenger's attention and emotion. It doesn't work this way. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job, and you guys wouldn't be here. Okay? Single sensor input, at least for the emotional and behavioral side, is not reliable enough yet. Yeah, you can tell where someone is looking at and what they like or what they may not like, but what about his or her other emotions? And I'll have an example that actually I'm going to showcase this. So we need more than one sensor input devices in order to provide a concrete result and say with pretty much good accuracy what's going on, okay? At the same time, misconception and misinterpretation, that technology can do everything for us without having us to intervene, okay? No, we need scientists, we need business professionals to be able to work with us to actually make this. And also, something that's going on in the news in North America lately, we design for everybody. But, sometimes we think we're inclusive, but we may be excluding others. So, there's a discussion about discrimination. People in wheelchairs, people with, reduced mobility or visual impairments and so forth. And we can only do this if we work together and earn people's trust, because right now it's not there yet. So I'm talking about integrating all these skills, and I'm happy to be able to have a lot of discussions with some of you in this symposium, and also be socially inclusive rather than exclusive. And we see it from millennials and all the generations that follow, okay? They're all going around with a screen or a tablet in their hands, okay? That's what this is the culture and the technology they grew up in, and that's going to be, some of these are actually our passengers. But yet, don't forget, we're also using technology too. Another area of importance is sharing the same values. Some may call it branding, a brand experience. Some may also call it, is a company ethical or unethical? What are they doing with my data? Which was another discussion we've had the past 2 days. And also, highlighting what I started saying when I started talking and sharing my knowledge with you is, a consumer, a passenger is seeing things in a three-dimensional way. So why are we still designing stuff in a two-dimensional way or leave out things instead of including things? And why is this beneficial? Because when we go to our clients, we can say, well, this has actually been biometrically tested now. And I'm not saying safety and security tested, but also emotionally and behaviorally certified, which is possible. And I'll say that that's actually coming. A lot of our products and services may need to actually be certified. The same way you have the little CE letters on the back of your phone or UL in the US and so forth. And that's not going to be down to our clients to do it. It's going to be down to us. So when you actually design an interior for a new airport, you can say, well, when we tested it, a higher percentage of people were happier going around, okay? Or it generated, certain emotional engagement and feelings of joy and excitement. And that also helps us stay consistent in doing that. And I want to move on and actually share some real examples of what I've been talking about so that you can understand, where we're going. Funny enough, the world is actually picking up on this. Just on Thursday, October 3rd, Wall Street Journal picked up on some of my work. And you see some of the slides, slides and photos there. So the world is watching what we're actually doing. And that's why I'm delighted that all of us, including, with IATA, we're having this discussion so that we can actually stay ahead of the curve. So what is emotions? What's engagement? What about the TWA hotel at JFK Airport? There actually has a very, very long waiting in order for you to actually stay there. It's all about emotions, all about nostalgia. How do we incorporate this in everything that we do? Or Remova working with A-Shop and producing an almost $1,000 kit that people may buy. To a cafe on board, Austrian Julius Meinl, signature drinks. That all adaptive experience. Again, learning from other sides of the industry also.
Here at Union Square Cafe, we define hospitality as a dialogue
This is a
between us
video
and the guests.
that Delta put together to actually educate crew and get them excited about the food they have on board. The blue line you see is the emotional bone curve of joy, and you see how engaged the test subjects are. Obviously, those of you that work in biometrics, you understand that the dots you see on the actual screen, they're actually eyes and eye movement, and the warmer the color, more engagement and so forth. But out of all the emotions that we've actually tracked, I put down here joy, just as a demonstration. And you saw the people actually getting more engaged. The higher the peak gets, the more engaged and the more joyful the people are versus going below zero. Okay, and people get excited about stories. They get excited about happening stuff. You see it.
I was totally excited to do this. One of the dishes on
And I'll move on to another example. Buy on board kits. Okay, again, learning from other examples on industry. Bless you. And how we actually go about this. And I know a lot of us talk about branding and the importance of co-branding and putting the ultimate package together. Well, now we actually know exactly what people are looking at, for how long, and any repeat visits, which means something. People are interested in something. Also, when Delta designed the Delta One menu, we also wanted to track exactly the same things. How can we make people excited about it?
Hopkins of Restaurant Eugene here in Atlanta. I also have the distinct pleasure to be
again, the line you see obviously is the eye tracking movement. Tested about 165 people that then followed up with in-depth interviews and actually sat down with them and went through second by second what's actually going on and trying to figure out, certain emotions and engagement, the wiggly lines you see underneath. I'll fast forward this to the next example in lack of time. Food on board, people are looking for brand characteristics and also trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, what kind of meat is this, And once they figure out the logo on the glass, okay, they're like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I know I'm flying with XYZ airline. It all makes sense. It's all coming together.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your attention. It's
all the
time
way
to
to
get you ready
testing
for
in-flight videos. As you see, nobody wants to think about, getting into a troublesome situation when flying, right? So there's only two areas that
Now, if you'll just follow along with me, we'll be on
engagement
our
and
way.
joy picks up. It's at the time when, there's some moving panels. You'll see this in a minute. And people recognize the type of aircraft,
Before we depart,
but
here are
also
some important
the
safety
fact that
instructions.
something innovative is happening. Okay? I'll wait until
First
this
things first, let's buckle
happens.
those belts. Insert the metal end into the buckle and pull the strap to tighten. To open, simply lift on the top of the buckle. And remember, seatbelt should be fastened whenever you're seated, just in case of
Again,
unexpected
that's another
turbulence.
example of, we've actually
To
lost
get us on
people
our way,
here
make sure your seat is up, all
for the right
electronic devices
reasons.
are put away,
Actually,
and
if we would
your
have
tray table
high engagement, things would be a little awkward.
Place it in the overhead bin.
And I'll just wait until we go to the first peak point here. You see the seat belt. Is that they're actually hands, and people are actually recognizing that, that's something different. Okay? People love different stuff if they're done in a smart way.
Including electronic cigarettes at any time.
And all the way to actually testing food. This is the premium economy class for American Airlines just before they actually launched this in Latin America. And you actually see that people are focusing a lot on dessert in this case. And people are actually happy with unusual shapes. And I'll let you into a small secret. When a tray, the two little dishes and the big dish underneath, put together a smile or a face, imitate a face, people are actually more drawn to it. Passengers are more drawn to it. Again, how the emotional side is important. And I'll finish with this one. This is a test on board the Orient Express, and I'm drawing examples from different industries, but this is very relevant since we're in Poland. And you'll see this in a minute. So the first curve is smile, the second is engagement, and the third is positive emotions. I've singled out these three. Anybody recognizing what song is playing in the background? Chopin, exactly. We're in the right country. So we see that the eyes are going around, noticing the interior and the architecture and the features, but we're drawn to the music. That's why sound is important, and our sense of hearing. And you see, it sort of picked up, and as he actually finishes playing, the emotional bone curves, the smile, and is going down, and then it picks up again when they're actually eating. And some of these tests are actually better performed when the subjects haven't had much to eat for some time, so they're even hungrier, and then we get much stronger results. So you see they have no food in front of them, but once they start looking at the food, it's going to start picking up again. And voila, there you go. They're having their food. Okay, but I'll stop here.
Closer look.
And thank you all for your attention. I'm more than happy to share more examples later on, but looking forward to the next presentation. And thank you so much, everybody.